There is another name, MJ Devonshire, Marlon Devonshire. We're
Marlon
only
Devonshire.
referring him to, I am at least, only referring to him as Marlon on this podcast because that's a phenomenal name. That guy should, when he goes to the NFL, wish him all the luck in the world. He's a good guy. I hope that he only goes as Marlon because if he goes down as one of the greatest corners of all time, Marlon Devonshire that's the Ken Griffey of football. You know, that's the name that you're gonna be like, I remember that one. I'll always remember that one. MJ
Yeah.
Devonshire, Marlon Devonshire, top, or I guess it's a local visit, so it doesn't count against the top 30 visits. Pre-draft visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You were at his pro day yesterday. You covered him for the last three seasons at Pitt. Former Kentucky guy, local kid out of Aliquippa. Where do you see him going in the NFL draft? And is he a guy? I mean, he's got a lot of interceptions, couple of touchdowns in college. Is he a dude that you believe is capable of transitioning to the NFL?
I do. I mean, so he's got great speed. Like you said, he's a ball hawk as well. I think he would fit really well as a slot corner. He's not particularly big, neither height nor weight, but he's got some nice long arms. He's sticky in coverage. I like MJ. I think MJ has really, really impressed a lot of people with his kind of physical attributes at the combine and at his pro day. And then you turn on the film, and he had a rough kind of start to the season, first third or so of the season last year, but
Yeah.
he's been a number one corner for the past 2 seasons and played really well for the most part in that position. So I'm interested to see how he would fit as an inside guy, like how that positional transition works for him, because it is different, especially at the NFL level, going from almost exclusively an outside guy. Like he hasn't really played slot for Pitt at all. Pitt doesn't really have slot corners, only in like certain packages, or one certain package really. So he doesn't really have a ton of experience there, but I think that he has the skill set that that would fit as a slot corner. With that said, you're not drafting a slot corner with a super particularly high pick in Devonshire. I think Devonshire is a good player, but it doesn't seem like his draft stock is particularly high. I think you could start to look at him like, maybe end of the fourth round, fifth round, probably fifth or sixth round, probably. I think he's better than a seventh. Like he's not an afterthought in that sense, but I think a sixth or a fifth is probably the ideal place for him. And if you're the Steelers, you don't have a fifth round pick.
No, you do have
you do have a sixth round pick. You got a high sixth round pick. That's probably where you'd start to think about him. It's just tough where the Steelers are at, quite honestly, because that fourth round pick is relatively, I mean, it's the 19th pick in that round, but it's, I don't know, that would feel like a reach for Devonshire. Like he'd have to really impress some folks, I think, to get that high. But if you can grab him in the sixth round, I think that's a steal, and that's a great fit for the Steelers in that round.
Do you think that he's NFL ready to start if you get him in the sixth? In the slot?
Yeah, I think so. I think the slot is limited enough, and like you could take a little bit off his plate. Like it's not like, like they didn't even throw Joey Porter out there, week one as a starter. So, but I think you can take a little bit off his plate and moving him to the slot. Like I said, I think he has the skill set to fit there. There would be some growing pains. Like the one knock against him was that his tackling isn't great, and that's just because of his frame. But I mean, I think you can put a little bit of weight on him, and I think you can improve that. So I think between the speed, and he's got great coverage skills and ball skills, I think it would work. There would be some growing pains, but you would figure it out, I think.
That's very interesting. I love the addition of Devonshire. I think he's got a ton of potential. I enjoyed watching him at Pitt. I think he's got the ball skills, and I think that's really important. Is the Steelers haven't had an inside corner with ball skills in a long time. I mean, a long time. And like Mike Hilton was good, but Mike Hilton didn't have the ball skills. He's a good corner. Didn't come up with the interceptions that you hoped he did. And I loved Mike Hilton. Shannon Sullivan, I don't know, like had some, but I think he had one interception last season. Like you're looking for a guy with ball skills. You could bulk up a corner. Joey Porter couldn't tackle either. So right. If you could teach them, if they're willing to, that's the difference. Is Patrick Peterson ain't willing to tackle. There's a difference. Joey Porter's willing to tackle. He just can't do it. And if you could teach somebody to tackle, I think that's an interesting name to watch. I think if they can add somebody else, like if they could add a veteran in free agency somehow, like a lower end veteran who could start, and then Devonshire could kind of be a better Elijah Riley, a guy who could come in here and like actually contribute to the defense, be a special teamer as a 6th-round pick. And then maybe you're working in Darius Rush, who's an option in the inside. Now you got a group of young corners, and I get they're all late, but a group of young corners that you could kind of develop into that next group long term. I think that's a very interesting name for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm excited. Do you think his what did he run at his pro day? You know,
He didn't run a 40, but I think he had a 4.43 at the combine.
that's pretty good. 4.43 is pretty fantastic. You know, that's not you're not complaining about a 4.43. I'm all about it. I like the addition of Devonshire. Do you think that's real interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I do. I think it's convenient that they can take a local guy in for a visit, but
Yeah.
he fits what they need. And I think they've gotten a look at him up close and personal. I think they know this guy pretty well.
You also, I mean, when it comes to being local, like, doesn't he have, you know, better than I do, doesn't he have connections with like Darrelle Revis and Ty Law and those guys?
Yeah, I think Revis is his cousin, I want to say.
Yeah.
But at the very least, Revis and Law are like mentors to him. Like they are hitting him up all the time. Like those are Aliquippa guys. Like people forget, like Aliquippa, like has at least 3 Hall of Famers.
Yep, they produce.
Come out of there. It's like Tony Dorsett, Revis, and Ty Law. But yeah, those guys have been like mentors to him forever. Those guys are like ever since MJ was a kid and when he first started playing football. So he will have all of the support in the world. And there's a pedigree not just from Aliquippa, but Pitty B's. Like you look at the track record of Pitty B's not only getting drafted to the NFL, but honestly getting drafted late and really making themselves into productive players like Avonte Maddox from the Eagles, Dane Jackson, now with the Panthers, was with the Bills for a while. Jason Pinnock, I think he's with the Giants now. There's a long history of Pitt players outplaying their draft status or their draft stock.
Yep, I agree. I think that'd be a cool move. Definitely a name to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll add him to the draft board 100%. The Pittsburgh Steelers look like they have as well. It's real interesting to see where this cornerback role goes, because that is, if you're looking at center, there's limited options, but there's options out there. There's really like almost no options, but all the options at the same time when it comes to a slot cornerback and really corner 3. So it's an interesting position to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm excited that a local kid with a lot of talent is now on that list.